All right, so in this one, we're going to create a remove from cart. And this one's actually a lot easier than our add to cart. So if we do define remove from cart, and it's going to take in a request, and then it's just going to take in an ID. We still need to get the cart itself, so we're not going to create the cart, so it's going to be just like what we've seen up here. So the ID and if the ID, so all this stuff. So go ahead and copy that. I'm going to do try. All right, so now I'll actually leave this up here, and if it for some reason, if all that stuff fails, we're just going to return render to response going back into the cart. If the cart ID doesn't exist, we'll just do that. All right, so now what we'll do is just delete the cart item using remove from cart. So we're just going to that's all we're going to do is just go cart item equals to cart item.objects.get ID equals to ID. So this is going to have to accept the ID of the cart item. We actually probably don't even need any of this stuff, but this is making sure that the cart even exists in our session, and then that way we can actually delete it, because if it doesn't exist, then they shouldn't be able to delete any cart item beyond the session ID, right? So that probably wouldn't make any sense at all. So then we just do cart item dot delete, or we could change it to being inactive. So if we look in our models, cart item, we don't even have active, so that's okay. We'll just do cart item delete, and then after that we will return it. We probably would want to send success message. We'll come back and do that sometime, but for now we're just doing remove from cart. All right, so now that we have that in our URL, let's go into our cart, and I'm going to do above this, I'm going to add in an ID, and this is only taking a digit, so /d plus, just like that. So it's going to take in the ID, and it's going to go remove from cart, remove from cart, and then let's take a look at our view. All right, so this is going to delete that actual cart item from our cart. It's going to delete it in general, but another way we could do this is grab that ID and then just remove the cart from that cart item. So then it's still there. We still have it on our system, but we don't have it active in the cart. So that would be another way. Let's actually do it that way. And I'll just say cart item.cart equals to none, and then cart item.save. So we'll see that. We'll try it both ways so we can at least look at it. All right, so now that we have this, our URL, we can actually use this in our view. Now remember, when I change this to a hash, I can just change it back into remove from cart, or URL double quotes, and then we have to do item.id, because it's the cart item ID, and now we can remove it. So let's go and look at our cart. So we have our cart here, and what you'd see is on the bottom left over here, you can see it says remove, and it has a number right next to cart. So if I click on that, it actually removes it from my cart. So that removed it from the cart, but it actually didn't delete it from my models, or from my database, excuse me. So this just takes the cart away from it. If I do that, it will actually delete that from our database completely. So it actually goes away. So if I go into admin, look at cart items, I see, okay, so now it actually goes away, right? So that cart went away, and now it just sticks on product. And then if we have the cart right now that we're working with, I think is 2. So I'm going to go back into my cart and just delete everything, right? And then go back into admin. Cart items, now I only have 3 things, right? So if I change it, put this back into cart item 2, go back into cart, we see that that item comes back. All right, so that's kind of going to be up to you. I'm going to leave it as inactive because I would actually kind of like to see what people add and remove, right? So analytics wise, might as well keep it. So then now I can just remove and it will show that stuff for me. Notice that a lot of things haven't actually updated. So updating the actual list of the cart items is not in there, as well as the total for the cart doesn't update until we go to add to cart. So what I'll do instead of having all of the things that actually update the cart, instead of having them on add to cart, I'll move them into view cart, because we're going to view the cart either way. So I'm going to cut that out and just scroll up and add it to the view into if the cart ID exists. So add it here. And let's just think about this for a second. We've got our cart, so cart item set, we've got that, that's correct. So this will come through because of this. And request session, it has a request, so we can actually set the session to the total, and we can set the cart, the new cart, to the total and save it. So now every time we view the cart, it will actually update it for us, right? So we see that it updates, and then when we add a product, we end up viewing the cart anyway. So when we scroll down here, this is redirecting us to the cart itself. We might want to have a success message here as well. That would probably make sense, and maybe an error message if it doesn't work. Right, so like we'll get to those later, but we have our success message, remove from cart, add to cart, now view cart. A lot of these things work a little bit better than they have before. So as you see, when I click remove, it actually shows me the proper number. I can add to cart from things that don't have attributes, and it's showing me the proper number, or excuse me, variations. Every single one I can do that, and it actually does update the cart. Unfortunately now, though, if I add another t-shirt, it's still adding those multiple carts. Or the multiple items for that specific t-shirt, and it's not grouping these things together. So it's not really always going to be super smart at this point. Hopefully we can actually update it in the future, but for now we added remove to cart, and we have it to where it updates pretty well. Now overall, this is a pretty functioning cart. I mean, it could be better from a user standpoint, but as far as an actual functionality standpoint, it's totally there. And now we have all the data that we need, so for products with the variations in them, and then for products without them, all that stuff's coming through and it works fine. So if you actually used just this and then added the checkout process, it would work for most people. I mean, some people might get kind of confused. Hey, why is it there twice? But if that happened, well, that's 2 items. I mean, like most people, if they're buying stuff, they would be able to read this and say, hey, I mean, I don't want 2 of these t-shirts. Let me remove one. Okay, boom, gone. Right? So that's kind of one of those things that is just a usability, like improving user usability. That's one of those things, but realistically, it functions great. All right, so we will see you in the next one.